Thanks everyone for tuning in to this edition of the Compliance Compass, and we continue our culture series. Today we talk about retaliation and non-retaliation. Now, that is an interesting topic because I think if you're the manager and you've been accused or somebody's reported a compliance concern and you respond to that, you probably have one particular view of what retaliation looks like. Yet the person who has reported an issue, particularly if it's anonymous, they have maybe a different view of retaliation. So we want to dive just a few minutes into that. So as a manager, I know it's typically, or a leader, you look at retaliation as, okay, I'm not going to punish that individual for reporting a compliance concern. I may feel a little awkward, even if it was anonymous. Sometimes you know where the complaint came from, especially if it's come up in other conversations. And so you see that individual and you're like, I feel a little awkward around them. I'm just not going to talk to them right now. I'm going to maybe avoid them. I'm going to avoid contact. It feels a little awkward. I know they reported this concern, but they won't tell me directly. And so it's bubbling under the surface. Believe it or not, that actually is a form of retaliation. It doesn't appear like it to you because you're thinking, I haven't punished them in any way. I haven't demoted them. I haven't I guess, engaged in a negative performance evaluation or denied them opportunity for promotion, anything like that. That's what typically a leader is going to view as retaliation. But in reality, retaliation is often much more subtle, even covert, if you will, and unintentional, quite frankly. It's very easy to spot, I would say, it's very easy to spot obvious forms of retaliation. I've punished you. I've terminated you. I'm treating you hostile. I'm giving you shifts that are unfavorable compared to other individuals. Those are pretty obvious. But the really subtle forms of retaliation that you really have to look out for is treating an individual in any way differently than you've treated them before, or you treat their coworkers and peers as a result, having learned about something that they've reported. So this could be increased conversation with them, increased what they might see as oversight. You're looking into what they're doing, looking in their over their shoulder a little bit, and even micromanaging a tad. Or it could be the opposite. Maybe you're a micromanager and you do that with everyone, but now that this person's reported, you completely back off and you basically don't engage at all. That is a form of subtle retaliation. Why is this important? Because as we talk about the culture of an organization, it doesn't matter how great the organization is or not. The fear of retaliation when somebody reports a compliance concern is real. And it exists, again, no matter how great the culture of an organization. And often that perceived or that fear of retaliation is really not based on fact. It's just based on this power gradient of someone is a leader, someone who's reporting it as not a leader. There's fear. It doesn't mean that you've created the fear, but you have to be aware of it because your actions can be perceived as retaliation. And you don't ever want that to be the case. Retaliation should be, especially, I would say, obvious retaliation cannot in any way be tolerated in an organization. It will be the death of an organization in regards to compliance culture if, in fact, retaliation is allowed to happen. But I think it takes a great leader to really understand the nuances of perceived retaliation, of soft retaliation, of unintended retaliation. It's very difficult to do, but it's something that we do need to talk about. That's really, really important for really improving and maintaining and having a healthy compliance culture in any organization. Tune in next week for the next edition of the Compliance Compass as we continue our culture series.